I'm Carey Stinson, and my journey through life has been quite an adventure. For over 20 years, I played Barney the Dinosaur on tour, and 7 seasons of the hugely popular TV show, Barney and Friends. Now my journey is to bring together friends and guests from all over the entertainment world for inspiring and at times amusing behind-the-scenes conversation. I'm Carey Stinson, and this is Purple Roads. Welcome to another episode of Purple Roads. I'm so glad you're here with me. This week we've got the one and only Barry Pearl. Before we get to Barry, we got a wonderful question this week from Bolton, who had 3 questions actually for me.
Hi, Carey. I'm a huge fan of Purple Roads. I have Barney here with me, and we want to ask you 3 questions for you. Question number 1 is, what were the challenges you were doing for your 22 years of Barney?
You know, the costume was part of it. It was a challenge because it was hot and it weighed a lot. But, you know, when you're having that much fun, there's not that many challenges.
Question number 2, is there any footage of the performance you did in Connecticut?
Here's a little footage for you.
And question number 3, if Barney could come back, how would it happen?
I would love to see Barney come back. He is such an amazing character. I think it would be awesome, and hopefully they'll do it.
Well, can't wait for this week's guest. Bye, Carey. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for your questions. And now, the one and only Barry Pearl.
Purple Road fans, I am so lucky to have one of my really good friends on, Barry Pearl. You know him as Professor Tinkerputt. And there's this other movie that we'll talk about as well. Barry, how are you?
Oh, Carey, what are you bothering me for in the middle of an afternoon out here in beautiful Southern California where we've got no smog anymore because there aren't any cars on the road? Really pisses me off, Carey. What do you need with my time here? Gosh, I'm telling you, Derek, cut us out. We don't need to do this, Carey. You people know who I'm big, Carey. I make big bucks. I'm a big guy. Don't have to be doing your little skit. But okay, you got me here. What do you want from me, Carey? And no more money, okay? You have no idea. I had to send you that stimulus check. I mean, who needed $800 in it? $800? That's what he gave us? Well, let's not go there. What do you need from me, Carey?
Now, look, I was going to call you a rat bastard it wasn't going to be at the beginning of the interview, but here we are.
I pushed. How are you, buddy?
Wonderful, my friend. How are you?
I'm okay. As I mentioned pre-show, kind of in an odd way, with all due respect to all people who are really, really suffering, kind of enjoying the reclusiveness of this. We're fortunate to have a home, you know, where we can go out and breathe what really has become fresh air here in Southern California, right, because there are no cars on the roads. So, you know, we're doing that. I'm cleaning out my garage. A lot of people are doing this. They're going into their garages and into their cupboards and throwing stuff out. And I'm finding stuff from literally the 60s, you know, the photographs and memorabilia and such. So, and my wife, she's working from home now. She still is working. She's in commercial real estate management, and had at the beginning of this year moved to an office closer to our home. For 34 years, she was going to work about 45 minutes away, but would have to get up at 3:30 in the morning to avoid the traffic on the 405 South, because otherwise it's a two-hour ride rather than 45 minutes. So she actually was transferred to the office around the corner from us, where she had worked occasionally. Mm-hmm. And so that was a good thing. And then, of course, this hit. Yeah. And now she's working from home, which is just perfectly fine. I like having her around here, especially, you know, during this time, because we want to keep an eye on each other. So in that way, it's been kind of a good thing. And, you know, we're getting groceries. We are ordering from the online services, and we're doing all those things, and we're keeping, you know, doing the social distance, and we got the masks and everything that everybody's doing. And again, this going through this garage is like a treasure hunt, finding stuff that I didn't remember existed there. And so in that way, there's a portion of this crazy tragedy where we're feeling okay about being sequestered, if you will, you know. And you, what about yourself?
Well, first of all, I'm good. You know, the fans of this show, I think, and we're all feeling this, we just want to laugh and we want to have fun. I think it's so important. You know, our mental aspect of this is important because our lives have changed. And I thought, well, I know someone that's going to be fun, someone that's going to make me laugh. I better
You came to the wrong place, guy. Doom and gloom. I'm sorry. Well, you know what? You just struck me, and this is kind of dark, but I'm kind of equating this in a way from what you just said, that in the midst of this, we do need to laugh. We need to smile. We need to have music. We need to have dance. We need to be entertained. And it is a well-known fact that during the Holocaust, that those imprisoned, incarcerated in the camps, would look to humor, playing their music as a bit of escape, a look towards a light at the end of a tunnel that led to nowhere for many. But there's something about the human being in the face of distress and tragedy still kind of attempting to climb out of it and looking to some good, to some silver lining in this otherwise dark, dark cloud. So it probably goes to that. So what you do is you put this together in the hopes of your intention to bring the kind of joy to people who are feeling rather joyless in the moment. That's I kudos, my friend, for you for doing this.
Well, thank you. You know, it's amazing to me when we went through 9/11. I was playing Barney. I was doing a Barney video.
Yeah.
And so here Barney is again bringing us together.
Yeah.
And
yes.
You think about happy and love and all the things that wonderful purple dinosaur did that.
Right.
So look at that. Look at that.
For you, my friend.
Thank you. Well, I want to talk about all kinds of things, but I do want to start off with that purple dinosaur. Sure. and how we met, because I remember it. You know, I remember so well us being in Las Colinas.
Yes.
And it was a big deal because you were the one person. I'd been playing Barney for about 5 years at that point. But when I found out that I was going to be working with Doody from Greece, you know, was very cool.
That's interesting. Those perspectives, I don't walk around with that in my head. So I never felt as though people were feeling this way, because I certainly didn't treat anybody differently. We are peers, and that you share those feelings with me after all these years fills my heart. There's a little discomfort because, oh God, you know, you sort of don't know what to say. Accepting compliments sometimes is hard for people, and it's hard for me oftentimes. I love them, but it's still, what is my face looking like when you're saying that to me? You know what I'm saying? And to know that I came in there and there was a bit of awe is impressive, and just that's really cool. Just a cool thing. I had no idea, quite honestly.
Well, you know, when Sloan gave me the phone call and said, you know, do you want to be on this tour? I was working at Chili's, and then I got into costume, and so, you know, it was a big step for me.
Sure. And
you had the experience. You'd been in the industry, you'd been in the business, and so, you know, I'll speak for myself. I learned a lot from you because this was all new. I mean, wow. When I told her I was going to go on tour, I didn't even realize what I was saying I was going to do.
You really? Really? Well, I had never been on a tour like that where we traveled in tour buses. Right. That was a new and exciting experience. I'd, you know, certainly done national tours before, so I kind of enjoyed that life, being in a hotel room where somebody else made my bed. I love that. I have to have my bed made, but when it's me, I still make it. But when I had somebody else to do it, that's cool. And now that my wife is working at home, occasionally she'll make the bed. I don't have to make it. Bless her heart. But yeah, I was familiar with that life. It was new to you.
Yeah.
And it was, I was just as excited as you guys were, believe me, to embark upon this venture. And we both know it had its ups and downs. It was a bit of a roller coaster at time. And yet the ups obviously outweighed those downs, or else we would not be sitting here now reminiscing, because it's those good feelings that come to light, but we became a family. Families have bumps and grinds, and that's how we lived as a family for 2.5 years. And it was always handed to you. You were the consummate professional, and my hat, look, I went on for 15 minutes in the total. And I did my little skit, and I, ran away, and got a couple of shekels, and pissed off we all kind of pissed off the crew, because they were busting their butts, and we went on there and sang a little song, dance, and said "I sing ya," and signed autographs, and got all the adulation, and they're back there like creatures back there. From Verilites, and I resented the hell out of all of us. But hey, we're just doing our thing. You're doing yours. But those guys and you and everybody in the costumes, you were really busting your humps. Mama Goose and David and Dwayne and all those fine folks, they were doing their dancing thing. I mean, I kind of glided through it. So my hat was always off to all the other folks and all the other disciplines, So,
well, I think what made that show so great though was all those pieces,
all of them.
Right,
we couldn't all of the pieces. Each was integral, each and every one of them. And there was an unfortunate time where, I had always prided myself as getting along with crew. Just always have, and many. Believe me, my peers, we really do appreciate what goes on behind the scenes. And because I guess these folks who had come from a rock and roll culture, we talked about this before, where I'll never forget the notion that one of the crew guys expressed it to me, that the Stones, for instance, as well we know, our crew came from Stones, Metallica, AC/DC, et cetera, that those groups that performed on the stage, they were their bosses. They were the CEOs, the bosses of the crew folk.
Sure.
We, performers, were not that. Right. There was a middleman. Well, actually, we were kind of the middleman. The crew didn't have to revere us or treat us in a fashion the way they treated the Stones and AC/DC. Right. They humbled themselves. We, when they realized, what are but I don't think they got that. We all really did appreciate their work.
Yeah.
We all really did. And then they got it. When we started partying with them, I think, then they got it. Then they were cool with us. And that was an unfortunate time. That was one of those bumps, I would say. And no matter how much I screamed and carried on, no, I get you, we love you, it still wasn't, it seemed that it wasn't enough until they really knitted it into their fabric that we were all cool, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think as we went out there, we got to really understand what everyone did.
Right. Well.
And I think, you hear one thing, but then when you're out there and you actually see, how they could put a show up and down and the importance of that, obviously people loved Tinkerputt and all the aspects of it. Then you start really appreciating what we were all doing.
I envy Josh, because he was able to sort of make that bridge. Josh Martin was our how would you, he doubled for Barney. I mean, he did. Show. I don't know how, I forget what his title was. He was the other Barney. He was, wouldn't he come on when you had to go off and change costume?
He did for the first year. So for the first year he did that. I did the lead and he did the second. Then he did all the a lot of hospitals and PR and all that stuff.
But he had a real connection with the crew folks, and I guess that he eventually hung out on their bus. He
did. He rode with it. Yeah,
he lived on their bus, and he would strike the sets and he really became one of them, and still held his place with us. We certainly didn't resent him for that, and like I said, I actually envied him. I admired and wanted that same kind of relationship with the crew that he had. It was a very cool thing, and to this day, he's one of the coolest.
Well, and I was, you told the story before, but I'll have you tell it again of how you what you did to connect with the crew.
Yes.
Because I love this. And I had no idea you were going to do this.
Now, are you talking about the little gifties and things?
Yes.
Yes.
No, it's the car. Yeah, in the car.
Yeah. So what Carey's talking about is that there was a place in the show. This was right after Simon Says, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right?
This is where we switched. So I would go, and then Josh would come out in the car.
Right. So I'd play Simon Says with the audience for about 10 minutes or so, I think it was, while scenes got shifted and you guys changed up costumes and such. And at the end of it, end of that segment, the car would come out from stage left with Barney and BJ and Baby Bop in the car, I believe. And it looked like Barney was driving, but in fact, Mo was scrunched down in the driver's seat, and he was steering the car, right?
Yeah.
So I would come up to the car with some kind of line with, "Oh, this is beautiful," with something about the car, and I would go halfway in the car with my butt facing the audience, and I'd have an exchange with Mo. And each time I'd hand him a little gift or something, he'd hand me something, back and forth, and the craziest stuff back and forth. And we would go on. I all kinds of little trinkets and such, or food, whatever. And I think where I may have really endeared myself to the audience or to the crew was at Christmas time, I think, wasn't it?
It was.
Before the break.
Yeah.
Instead of giving him a little trinket, I had given him a check. For $200, I can't remember what it was, for him to share drinks with everybody. But I don't think I made it out to Mo. I think I made it out to who was the head of the crew?
Harold.
Harold. I think I made it out to Harold because I figured I could trust that Harold was spreading around. I guess. I don't know. And I slipped in and I handed him a check, and it made me feel good to do that. I think that made him see that, okay, Pearl's a good guy. He's okay. We're good.
You still turned out to be a wingnut, and I became a wingnut,
I got the wingnut prize. I think I might have tossed that. I used to have it up in the closet. I don't think I have my wingnut.
You beat me out. I think I was third.
You were the third to get the wingnut? I mean, I may have it in there somewhere.
I might too. So let's talk about right before what you were just saying, the Simon Says. What was that like to just know it was you in the audience for 10 minutes?
How can I say this? Being in control of, if you want to use that phrase, of 6,000 little kids playing Simon Says with everyone. I guess I guess there's really, in looking back, there isn't a whole lot of distinction between playing for a group of 100 people as to what I do and how I do it. I mean, there are technical things like speaking louder. I mean, I was mic'd,
Sure.
So I didn't have to speak over all those kids. So it was kind of like doing anything. You're out on the stage doing a monologue, let's say.
Right.
I'd worked in front of large crowds before, a couple thousand, doing road shows and such, where we play houses like 1,200, 1,700, 2,500. But 6,000 was something. It didn't blow me away as one might think. I kind of took it in stride, and looking back on it, and you look at that video, I guess the Barney's Big Surprise video, there is a bunch of that stuff, and to see how you impacted all of those kids,
right?
I mean, that's a gift. That's something, again, more so looking back at it as, oh wow, I did that. I had, and as much attention as you could grab from the youngins, and then get up and they play
right
along. Now you can't say, all right, you didn't get it, sit down. I mean, it's not like you play Simon Says with a group of 10 people, 10
right.
But it was a great time, my spot in the spotlight, and it was utilitarian. I knew what it was for because it was to get the stage prepared for the next segment.
Right.
So I served a particular purpose there, but it was great fun, and it was a pretty cool thing to command the attention as much as one can, like I said. But I don't think at the time I had any kind of different feeling that I'm recalling now. Doing that, it was a job. It became a job that I did gladly and enjoyed doing. If that makes sense,
it does. but the interaction with the kids, like, would they just yell something out? Well, I mean, did they keep you on your toes?
Oh my gosh, yes. And I tell this story. We were playing Universal Amphitheater, so I obviously, being living here in California, had friends, that come and see the show.
Right.
And I have a fellow actor friend of mine who had brought his young child. I guess didn't know that I was playing Tinkerputt, and I'm in the middle of the Simon Says, and he's yelling up to me. He's rather close, actually, because we had this thrust portion of the stage, like a runway that went out, from the apron of the stage. And he yells up at me, "Hey, yo!" No, he said, "Yo, Barry! Yo, Barry!" And I'm Professor Tink. "What are you doing? You dummy! You can't." And I didn't respond to him.
Right.
But I'm thinking, what are you doing? We're in the middle of a show. But I guess he's thinking, well, they're just kids. Don't suspend anybody's disbelief here. No, let's take this a little serious. Come on, guy. I couldn't believe that he was doing. Now, we're friends to this day. He doesn't know who he is. But I don't think I ever, maybe I did talk to him about it. But I was so struck. What, are you kidding me? I'm working here. How can you do this to me?
That's the fun part about live theater, right? I mean,
yeah. Oh my gosh,
what's going to happen?
Well, the fun part. I mean, you recall when we were in Florida? Was it Tampa? Where did we go to the roller coaster, the Man 2? That was
that was in Tampa. Yeah, that was.
Tampa.
Yeah.
Remember what happened in Tampa?
Okay,
so you rat bastard, you and everybody were trying to drag me on this roller coaster. Now, I've never enjoyed roller coasters. I just don't like that dipping feeling.
Right.
But I have gone on them. And then the problem is, once I get through the initiation, which is going the first time around, then you can't get me off. Then I want to go on again and again. And what I do to get past that dipping feeling is I scream, and that helps. It just helps that feeling. Ah! I mean, so at the top of my lungs, okay? So they get me on this thing, and I do that, and I want to go on again, and I lose my voice. I got laryngitis that day. Now, people have to understand that when we did these Barney shows, our dialogue, at least the folks out of costume, our dialogue was live.
Yes.
But you guys in the costumes had pre-records. And the songs were also pre-records that we would lip sync. So the Tinkerputt song was pre-recorded, and I sang along to it. So here I am out on the stage with my speaking voice like this. But then when it hit the music and I had to sing, all of a sudden it went, "My name's Professor Tinkerputt. You may think it's funny, but I like it very much." And such a distinction between this voice and that voice. So, and not only that, People magazine was down doing a special on Grease, because I think it was the 10th anniversary, if I'm not mistaken, because that would have been
97.
It was 97. Yeah. And they interviewed me, video and print. And I again had that voice on whatever video they shot. So I really you guys screwed me by dragging me onto that darn roller coaster. The Man 2. I got a T-shirt that says I suffered the Man 2. It was the highest, steepest incline at the time. My gosh. But that's like you say, live theater.
Well, remember when we were in when we went skiing,
Park City, Voss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's been on this show?
Yeah.
It went right into a tree.
That's right. It was right there. We were so scared because who was it that said, "Don't you guys go skiing? Don't go skiing"? Was it Park City? It wasn't Park City. It was another. Maybe it was Park City. Utah. It was Utah, right?
I think so.
Yeah. And Michelle McCarl played Mama Goose. Yeah. We were like I was ahead, and then Voss, and then Michelle, and we hear this thwack, and we turn around, and Voss is right into a tree. And I climbed back up, and she skis down to him, and we knew that he was hurt because he was a little, where am I? Who am I? Who are you? I mean, we're in trouble. And he had a cut on his. We were sweating it.
Yeah. Actually, well, he's okay. He's actually been on this show. Goodness gracious, he's still dancing. It's crazy.
Yes,
it's crazy. It's the fun thing about this show, Barry. I've heard from Dwayne not too long ago. Yeah. And I've talked to Michelle McCarl, too.
Good. Very good. How about Jay? Does Jay pop in, Jay Benson?
I haven't talked to not. It's been a little bit, but he's here. He's here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yeah, but was he on the other show?
No, he was not.
Oh, because I'm in touch with him.
This one.
It'd be nice to get him. He's got a beautiful family, and he looks great. Looks great. By the way, do you love my background? The little Chanel. I pulled this out of the garage. This is from my childhood. Little Chanel. I don't know what I'm trying to hide back there. Just a terribly unpainted wall. I don't know. We need to close up so I can. No, I guess it's just ridiculous. See my hoarding ways.
Yes. Your hoarding ways. Boy, the memories come back there.
Oh, man.
It takes us back to Green Oaks.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, Green Oaks. That was the first hotel/motel that we in Fort Worth that we stayed out on the road. And I got robbed. I got robbed in that hotel. I was out. My room was outside the perimeter of the hotel, and I came back from dinner with friends of mine that lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I look upstairs and the door is slightly ajar. I'm thinking, oh my God, oh my God. And I walk in and my hotel room had been robbed. I mean, they took all kinds of stuff, but the big one is they took a briefcase that had my address book in it. And when you lose something like that, even though where is it? I still have it here somewhere. Oh, is this it? Yeah, the replacement. When we had address books, I put together a replacement, but you still never feel like you really have.
Right.
This is the replacement address book.
Purple Road fans, that's real. That's real. That's real. That's what he had when I first met him.
Yeah, I got the replacement. But I remember I had John Travolta's number in there at the time. Gone, all gone. I was because what had happened was some family was then traveling from Midland to Fort Worth, or Fort Worth to Midland, where one of their family members was incarcerated, and they were going to visit him. And they were at a hotel or a motel on the way there, and they found one of my briefcases in the parking lot. And I remember when they got in touch with me, and I said, was my phone book there? Oh, yeah. Oh, great. Well, what it turned out to be was this little tiny phone book. It wasn't the phone book.
Well, they wouldn't believe the phone book was,
Well, it wasn't that bad at the time. That phone book, come on. I don't use that obviously anymore. But it's there just for keepsake.
Yes, but that is not a prop. That is real.
That's for real. That's for real. Absolutely.
So you just mentioned John Travolta. So you worked with him again not too long ago. I saw what was that, last summer that you were doing?
No, actually,
the fall.
No, it was the fall. It was, I guess, November, December. John and Olivia and Michael Tucci, who played Sonny in the movie Grease, and Kelly Ward played Putsy, and Randall Kleiser, who was our director. We all got together, and they brought us down to Florida for what they titled a meet and grease. Basically, what it is we play these huge amphitheaters. Yeah. There were 3 amphitheaters, one in Tampa, one in West Palm Beach, and one in Jacksonville. But before the show, and people would pay like $50 to get in and see the movie, and then be part of a question and answer after the film with John and Olivia and us guys. Yeah. Now, many of them didn't know that the 3 of us were going to be there, but about 150 to 200 of them each paid $1,009 to actually meet Olivia, John, and then the booby prizes, the 3 T-birds, prior to the movie, where they'd have their photograph taken, and they'd actually get, to shake hands and hug, which we probably won't do until 2022 anymore. And then everybody would go into the amphitheater with everybody else, and they'd show the Grease sing-along film. Have you ever seen the sing-along version of it? I
haven't.
So it's a follow the bouncing ball kind of thing, but it's more sophisticated than that. It's really wonderful. It's all animation.
Wow.
It's terrific. Randall Kleiser, the director, had put that together a couple of years ago. It was I think it was like the 25th anniversary or some such thing where they did that. That was the rollout that Paramount did. And so they show that. and then at the end, and by the way, they didn't project it. They used LED.
Oh.
So you can make the screen as big as you want, and you don't lose any quality because there's these little teeny LED lights, right? It's massive. The whole side of a building can be a screen, and you don't lose resolution because you're not projecting it either way. So the screen is lifted up about, I would say, 8 feet off the ground. So at the end of the movie, when the car flies off, John and Olivia themselves come walking out underneath the screen, and the audience goes crazy. And by the way, I forgot to mention that before they showed the film, so everybody does this 100 or 200 people do the meet and greet and they go down. Randall Kleiser comes out. I've introduced him from behind this. Ladies and gentlemen, Randall Kleiser, the director of Paramount's hit film Grease. So and he schmoozes with the audience a little bit, and he says, "Hey, do you want to meet the original T-Birds?" Audience goes nuts. Here they are: Barry Pearl, Michael Tucci, Kelly Ward, Sonny, Doody, and Putzer. Doody, Sonny, Putzer, and we come out, and again, we felt like we were rock stars.
Wow.
And so we greeted them, and everybody's given this little bag that has a comb, it has a bubbles in it, it has little things that when certain things happen in the movie, you'd take the little flag or the little piece of material when Cha-Cha does the race, they do the race, and anytime you see anybody comb their hair, you take a comb out. We guide them through.
That's fun.
So we do that, and then we did the Three Stooges thing that we do in the movie. That was very cool because as soon as I started it, the audience got it and they applauded and screamed. And then we go off, they show the film, John and Olivia come on, and then we're right next to them, and we have taken questions from the audience, asked questions, and we have a whole back and forth. It was wonderful. Like John said, he said it was a combination of a screening, a rock concert, and the film and the sing-along. It was just that. And John got the idea, actually, to do this. His friend, it was either Michael or Jimmy Mariano, good friends of his. They said to him, "Hey, Johnny, what do you want for your birthday this year?" And he said, "I'd like to go to see the Kiss concert." And he said, "Well, okay, we'll set it up, get us in, and we'll take care of the tickets or whatever." So they went to see Kiss. Now they're friends with Gene Shepard and Gene Simmons, rather. And those guys. And so they do a meet and greet at the beginning of their concert with a bunch of the audience and make a fortune.
Oh, wow.
So John, his friend Jimmy Mariano, says, "John, you should do this with Grease." John said, "That's a great idea." So he put it together. Actually, Live Nation was the organization. And it was a huge success. And the plan was for us to do a world tour of this. Now, things have changed.
Right.
So, but it was hugely successful. So much fun to do. That we actually, they wanted us to look as much like our characters as we did. So I had to dye my hair, and they got me a leather jacket, and the other guys got leather jackets, and we did the whole. And John put his hairpiece on that looks like Zuko. Olivia didn't have to do a thing but get into a leather jacket. She's still stunning, And by the way, I thought about you guys because they flew us to Florida, to Tampa, I guess it was, and the first night was in Tampa, and or was it West Palm? Can't remember what the first night. It might have been West Palm. And then we I think drove to Tampa, or we flew. Anyhow, we drove. But between Tampa and Jacksonville, they put us on a tour bus.
Oh, wow.
Like a Prevost Senator coach. And we spent the night. It was Olivia and her husband, John, and the guys and all the crew. And Olivia, like she and John had the back, where the lounge was in the back of the bus.
You didn't kick them out and take over the lounge?
Well, yeah. That was their room in the back, and it was like we were doing Barney touring all over again. I was a veteran by that point, and so I took it all in stride. Nobody pooped on the bus. We weren't allowed to do that still.
Yeah. The rules haven't changed.
Can't poop. Or you can't throw up unless it's into a pizza box. Oh, that's a story.
So can you believe that those two, that Grease and Barney, you're still talking about them all these years, that they're still very relevant, obviously, both of them.
Very blessed to have been part of both of those phenomenons. That's true, Carey. I couldn't ask for anything more, really, really true. And I talk about that all the time. I always do as much as I can to pay homage to the purple guy and to the greasy haired guys and gals. You know, so it's a good thing.
I think for both of them, I mean, you see why because they're very important. You know, with Barney, obviously the unconditional love. I mean, we get so many messages about people that learned love through Barney.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And being accepted.
That's right.
You know, all these years later, everyone could be who they were. Barney loved everyone.
That's right.
And then, you know, with Grease, I just think we all can relate to it.
Well, yeah, it's the universal story.
Yeah.
You know, boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl. And the music and the dance assaults our senses in a good way. And that's, you know, why it lives on and on. And then you can't keep your eyes off of Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. I mean, they were gorgeous. And there was great talent on the screen. And on the stage prior to that, you know, it was a big hit. It was the longest-running Broadway show for the longest time.
Yeah.
It overtook Fiddler, and then I think Chorus Line might have overtaken that or something like that. And then I think it's now Phantom or Cats, or one of them. Phantom, I think it is. And nobody's going to surpass Phantom, you know. But so it's got universal appeal, as does Barney. Another thing, too, especially with Barney, as you may know, for the last 6 years, and of course this year, there's a crimp in the plan this year. Yeah. But I've been going out with Joey Travolta, one of John's older brothers, teaching film arts to the special needs community all across the nation.
Yes.
And I've been doing that, like I say, the last 6 summers. And what we do is there are 3 teachers and a full film crew and an editing person and his compadres. We go to a city for 2 weeks at a time, and we have 3 different classes: young kids, middle teens, and then teens, where we develop 3 different 7-minute films and 3 different PSAs or commercials. And they write them, they act in them. We teachers direct them. They shadow the camera and sound folks because it's really expensive equipment, and we don't have enough time to really teach them how to use that equipment.
Right.
But we do workshops. We have an editing demo that we do. And we film these films, and then in the fall they do these red carpet events in each of the cities.
Wow!
And it's not that they just go and sit and watch 3 films and three commercials. We actually have a wraparound show that we do, and it's based on, like, for the first year they based it on Mr. Rogers. So
okay.
Joey's block. So Joey played the Mr. Rogers character. He'd have representatives from each of the classes come in and talk about their films, and then you'd look at the film. And then you come back and talk again. And then we did one called Shark Bite, based on Shark Tank. Where kids had to come in and pitch and sell their idea. Well, let's take a look at your film. And then you go and you cut to the film. It was the way into viewing the films. So we've been doing that. And last year, we hit Florida for the first time, Vero Beach, Florida. We were supposed to go to Little Rock, Arkansas. We've been to Bentonville for the last 2 years. This year, right about this time, we were to go to Little Rock to do the camp there. And we go up and down the West Coast, close to San Francisco, Fairfield, Dublin, and there was Sacramento in that area. And then we go across the nation to Pittsburgh, and then end up in New Jersey. And then we're done for 2 months out of the summer. Well, again, you know, there's been a crimp in it as a result of what's going on. But the whole point here was that we're working with the special needs community, which, I mean, you know, take very, very kindly to Barney because again, the senses are assaulted, and they can relate to it, and the love, my gosh, which they exude and demand, and they get it. It's just, you know, part of their culture.
Well, I think they're so thankful. Barney didn't treat anyone different.
Yeah.
You know,
nor do we.
We get some from kids with autism.
Yeah.
And with Barney, it didn't matter. There was no difference. There was no difference.
We talk about their abilities as opposed to any disabilities. Absolutely. And they love that because many of them are so ostracized. Many of them are so bullied by their peers because, unfortunately, you want to say the peers don't know any better, but they do. And it's the parenting, you know, that would help. Because when they come into to our classes, it's a very safe environment, and we kind of spoil them in that way. And I say that because 2 weeks after when we're gone, they're back out into the cold, cruel world. Right. But hopefully, we've provided them with some tools and some understanding that help them to to forge their way through, to make a path through, a better path through. And then year after year, because we get returnees, it's more and more reinforced. So we're all doing a good thing here, you know.
Well, you know, it's interesting you're saying that, and it makes me think about our experiences on the road with little people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who you know, I can't even say enough about how much I love all of that we learned, we traveled with, and we saw it with them as well. How some people treated them different, and it's like, do you understand what you're missing out on? These, you know, of course, we don't see them any different. I mean, Kyle Nelson is, and I just talked to Jeff Ayers yesterday, and he's one of my favorite people on this planet.
Yes.
And I think they also, and Jeff Ayers is one of those that teaches people.
Sure.
You actually are learning what you're missing out on. Absolutely.
And how quickly we eradicated the M word from our lexicon.
Yeah.
How quickly. And, I mean, who knew? But I get it. If it offends one person, no matter what the word is, whether it's the N word, the K word, whatever that word is, and you talk about, oh, you're so politically correct. Yeah, you know, you sort of gotta be. Things have changed. Many of us have become enlightened. And you just have to, because like you say, Carey, you know, we all bleed the same color blood.
Yeah.
You know, and as enlightened as we think we are, all of a sudden we learn, oh, there's something else that we have to know. All right, got it. Moving on. You know.
Yeah, well, and you realize very quickly, I mean, there's nothing different, you know? I mean, nothing.
Right. That's right.
Now, I'm still going to call you a rat bastard, though.
Well, that
word is not changing.
You got to call
it's not changing.
And, no pun intended.
I know you're not out with Grease, so you're stuck with me for a little bit longer. And I got to tell you, I don't know if you know this, but you know, the first celebrity that I ever met when I was working with Barney was John Travolta.
No. Oh yes. I remember.
The meet greet for Radio City.
Radio City, that's right.
And I was hugging him. It was such a surreal moment, as you can imagine. I'm hugging John Travolta, and there's Kelly Preston standing there.
Yeah.
And all that came into my head was, he's a dad.
Yes.
With a
loss. A dad with a subsequent loss.
But, you know, it's amazing how doing Barney all those years, I learned to look at celebrities different. You know, we're talking about special needs and autism and little people. And, you know, I did a lot of Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
And, you know, beforehand, I probably thought, you know, it's always a sad thing, but it's actually not. I've never seen sad. I actually saw the good and the happiness. And what I, you know, ended up realizing is I'm the richest person on this planet because of what was given to me. It's not financial, but what's really out there.
It's that which transcends the paycheck.
Well, yeah. I mean, I had to put up with you for all that time.
Well, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I had to pay my dues. You know, we all do. But other than that, you know, but you learned, you know. I never thought when Sloan hired me for that, all the learning and the growing.
The one regret that I have is that I didn't get up early enough during those days when you went to the hospitals to offer myself up to go with you guys, because I could have easily. Could have used the help. And I think we may have done it once or twice, but it was always early in the morning. You know, you were younger than I was. You were able to get out of bed
and still am and always will be.
Always will be, you rat bastard. Yeah. But that's the only regret I have, especially now working with this community the last 6 years. And it doesn't matter that it's the special needs community. It could be kids that were going through diseases, cancers, and all that terrible stuff. But to have had that experience and have given of myself in that way, a selfish thing for me to have just slept in, if you will. You know, but that's because you guys kept me up all night playing cards and drinking rat bastards, you know.
Yeah, something like that.
But,
I kept you up drinking. I took you on roller coasters. I'm telling you.
Rick and ruin. You led me down to that path. But that's the only thing, you know, that I would wish I would have sucked it up and done more of that, because that would have been a lovely notch on my belt.
Yeah, but you know, it's interesting about all of that, because now look what you're doing. I mean, now you're doing something you probably didn't see yourself doing.
Oh, not at all.
I think it's amazing where life, if you just listen to, don't fight life, but just go where you're supposed to go, because it never works out the other way.
And I fight it a lot, but that one I didn't fight. Wendy Travolta, who, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but Wendy, Joey's wife and John's sister-in-law, her name is Wendy Shawn Travolta. Her father was the late Dick Shawn. Do you recall Dick Shawn, the comedian Dick Shawn? So she that was her father. Wendy calls me. Yeah, it was more than 6 years ago, and I don't remember exactly how it was, but I had expressed a desire to do this because they have about 5 brick and mortar. Now they have got 5 brick and mortar schools, year-round schools for folks on the spectrum and autism and Asperger's, et cetera, et cetera. And at the time, they had one here in L.A., but that one doesn't exist anymore. Others up north do, and I think down San Diego they've got one. But she called me and said, I guess I had expressed a desire a couple of years prior. She called me and said, what do you think of this? Can you bring your, like your improvisational teaching stuff that you do, and can you fit into this mix? And I, having never done it before, never taught young kids, especially kids on the spectrum,
right.
I felt, why not give this a shot? And then I took to it like fish to water. It worked out. It was so fulfilling. Still had a lot to learn. And I mean, even to this day, I learned something new every single year. But it became a path, Carey. And I thought, my wife said, it's the best thing that's ever happened to you. So all this time, everything that has led up to that moment 6 years ago was leading me down that path. From learning how to teach improv. I took improv from the great Howard Storm. And I took to that process really well. And I think 3 years after I started studying with him, I actually started teaching it. And that was in 79. I started to teach. And I started with him in 76. And I thought, well, this is something that really speaks to me. Let me give this a shot. So I opened my own school, and I've been teaching for all kinds of people. And then this presents itself, and I'm able to use those disciplines, those tools, for what we do with Joey's Inclusion Film Company, the summer film camps.
Wow.
It's really sad that it's looking like now we may be doing something online. Joey just called me the other day to say we're attempting to do something online with them. I don't know what that will be, but we're try to do something to keep people.
I think that's the power of this, and has really been the important part of this. Is we've found other ways to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, mine happened very quickly where our studio shut down and our producer had to go to his house. And I just said, we're going. We're just, whatever happens. If I can't get anyone, I can always get Barry Pearl. He'll do it. So, and I'm just joking, everyone. I love this man so much. I can't tell you. But this is it. And I think these times where, I'm very fortunate to be with my family here, but I can still talk to you and these memories, and it's so important for us.
It really, really is. I mean, the people that are reaching out, that we're reaching out to, taking this time to do just that. I got a call 2 days ago from my old friend, Alan Paul. Alan Paul is one of the Manhattan Transfer. You ever listen to Manhattan Transfer?
Oh, absolutely.
So you had Tim, who's not with us anymore, and Alan. They started the group with Cheryl, and then the other guy I guessed.
What was it? The New York City. What was their big hit?
Oh yeah, yes.
Doo wop, doo wop.
It's a lot of that, but it's I know the song.
Yeah. Well, you know the doo wop.
And they have all those songs. Right. So he and I had done Oliver together back in 1962 and 63, 62, 63. We were in the Broadway company together, and we were good buddies back then. Well, we reconnected a bunch of years ago, and they had us out to some of their concerts. This is when Tim was still alive, and we sort of lost touch a little bit. And then just recently, I came across this 1963 Player's Guide. Now, the Player's Guide was a directory, basically, with where we have our little picture and our contact information and some of our credits. And everybody in the industry who was a union member had you paid for this. And I'm talking, the book is like this thick. It's like a huge phone book or a Webster's dictionary, but huge. And I found it in my garage just a couple days ago within a box of photos. And I'm going through this and I'm looking, oh my gosh. And on one page alone, and it was all in alphabetical order, and it's also indexed character men, leading ladies, ingenues, kids, etc. On one page alone, starting at the top, you had Paul O'Keefe, Rusty Parker, Alan Paul, Barry Pearl. Now, Paul O'Keefe was the brother of Patty Duke on the Patty Duke Show.
Wow.
So Paul was an Oliver at one point in time. Rusty Parker, I don't know where Rusty is today. He was also an Oliver. Alan certainly was, and so was I. On one page, you had that.
Wow.
So I took a photograph of it, and I texted those guys, or I might have emailed. I can't remember how I got to him, except for Rusty. I didn't have any contact info for Rusty. But I sent him and a bunch of other folks. And so Alan, he gets back. He texts me, we have to talk. We have to talk. I'm writing my memoirs. We have to talk. So we were on the phone the other day for an hour. An hour. But here's the wild part about it. He had just looked through that very same 1963 Player's Guide, the only one that he owns, and saw our picture and says, I got to get in touch with Barry. And then, boom, I text him and say, I've looked at this book. And what's the synchronicity of that like? I mean, come on.
Well, it really is a small world. Yeah, I mean,
well, truly. But something greater than ourselves,
yeah.
Saying, hey, so those kinds of stories are the kinds of stories that are being written, if you will, during this crazy time that we're, trying to look. I say it this way, out of manure, flowers grow.
Yeah.
You got to fertilize the garden. And boy, oh boy, is it being fertilized in some catastrophic ways. But the hope is that some beautiful flowers will grow out of this. And already has started in, on some planes and some aspect.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I got a couple of questions while I got you here that I don't know that I've really ever asked you, and I got the chance to do it, but
right.
I know everyone wants to know, and I want to know it. What was it like filming Grease? I mean, did you realize?
No, not at all.
Any clue what you were?
Not at all. Now, I had been in the national tour of the play, the first national tour, actually. Yeah. So I knew the material, and it was a big hit on Broadway. In fact, I just came upon a yellow button with the Grease logo, the stage play's Grease logo, was all lowercase, yellow field and blue Grease, word Grease, that said Lucky Seventh Year. So it was on Broadway for a long time. It was a hit. Now, does that always translate into a hit film? That's not always the case. Yeah. So
this is bigger than a hit film. I mean,
well, again,
come on, this is bigger than the term hit.
But again, we didn't know that the question was, did we know? Right. Not a clue. Nobody has that kind of crystal ball with anything, with any project. So Saturday Night Fever had been released, and my hope was that we didn't get lost in the mix the way that wonderful ensemble seemed to have. It certainly wasn't the film that Grease was. Yeah. And I figured this isn't really going to do much for my career, though I'd like it to, And when it was released, it wasn't a big artistic hit. It didn't get the greatest reviews. Overseas it did. And, I mean, commercially it did pretty well. And when it hit foreign distribution, it did fairly well. But it wasn't until, I think the 10th anniversary that it became the cult classic that it had, the iconic and every year after year after year. And this thing that we did last year was it was a celebration of actually the 41st year of the film. But we had this 40th year anniversary thing, but we had no clue. We loved working together. It was such a joy. Every day going to work was like going to play. It was a summer of love, if you will. Yeah. But again, nobody has that foresight. You think, well, we got something here, but we don't know what it is. Right. Good time and music sounds good. The dancing was, but it wasn't until after the fact that we stood back and said, "Oh, wow, that's what a cool thing this is," and to be part of that, wow. So, again, no clue. What about the song? I mean, when you're doing those songs that are just iconic, I mean,
Were you just like, oh, these are kind of catchy? Or
Well, no, I think we dug doing them. I mean, I dug doing the dance on the bleachers, and
yeah. But doing Grease Lightning, I mean,
and all of that stuff, the camaraderie, that was all great fun to do.
Right.
And listen, it was a job. It was work. I mean,
Sure.
you got to keep up your pace and the stamina. I mean, we were younger in those days, so the bones could take it. But those dancers, my God, the 20 dancers, men and women. Those were the people that were really working their butts off. Like you guys in the suits.
Yeah.
So hats off to those guys and gals.
Yeah.
And they made us look good, but. Yes, it was all great fun and very exciting doing this. So how was it going to cut together? That remained to be seen. And then it was cut together pretty well, but even still, not the big hit that we were hoping it was going to be.
Sure.
Only after the fact. And now, looking back at it, you get some chills and, oh yeah. And there's certain parts that, you cringe.
Oh, sure.
But others are, wow, yeah. That was a pretty cool thing. It was a pretty cool move. That was a pretty cool moment. That was the most honest. Whatever it is,
right?
As you scrutinize today.
Sure. When you watch it, what thing do you critique yourself on?
There's one moment that I just really don't like at all, and that is, I want to say, and maybe it's towards the end of the film where we hear Principal McGee over the loudspeaker saying, "One day, you may be a Rosemary Clooney," and you cut to Stockard. Or a Joe DiMaggio, and you cut to Michael Tucci, whatever their expression was, or a President Nixon. And you couldn't do, because that wasn't, in the 50s, that wasn't a thing, right?
Yeah.
So I had to come up with something else. I didn't know what to come up with. And I just went, and it's all I had. And every time that happens, and it's just a moment, I go, yeah, I could have done better than that. Oh, So there are those moments. And, there's another moment, too, at the very beginning, just before Summer Nights, where we're making fun of Tom Chisholm, Lorenzo Lamas' character.
Yeah.
We're on the bleachers, and we're just about ready to ask Danny, how about what happened during the summer before the movie began, before the song begins. And you see Tom Chisholm in his football outfit, and he's running along, and he drops his helmet, and he sticks his foot in the helmet and trips.
Yeah.
And you get back to us, and we're making fun, right?
Yeah.
Well, Michael Tucci, who played Sonny, an Italian guy.
Right.
And I'm a Jewish guy playing an Italian guy, kind of.
Yeah.
Sonny Lattieri was, although it was Sonny Lattieri and Doody. The Doody character was really Sonny. The Sonny character was Doody. I know. Sonny character was Roger from the play, and the Putsy character was anyway. Michael had an expression he'd call, if somebody was like being a real jerk, he'd say, you Gavona. Now, Gavona in Italian means like a jerk or some sort of thing. You Gavona, right? So that scene, they cut back to us, and we have to look like we're making fun of Tom Chisholm in the distance, and I pull out my squirt gun, and I want to say, you Gavona. And just before I say the word Gavona, Tucci says it. And this happens in like a split second. I hear it. I can't use Gavona. The G was already out of my mouth, and all I said was gumdrops, man. Gumdrops mean. But they kept it gumdrops. What is gumdrops? It means nothing. But again, a millisecond, I hear gumdrops, man. And that's the take. And whenever I look at that, I say, that doesn't mean anything, Barry. That's just so embarrassing. What does that even mean? So yeah, there you go. There was a cringing moment.
What about Tinkerputt? You did the special for NBC. Anything in that you... did you nail everything? You happy with everything? Have you ever gone back and watched it?
Yeah, I've watched it. No, I'm actually rather touched with a lot of that stuff, especially when Tinkerputt comes around, and he something nice has been done for him, and he, the locket that she gives him to make the machine work, and he's so impressed, and he then allows them to play with the toys, and also Just Imagine on the boat. That was really special. to be part of that number. It was such a beautiful number. I can't, because I haven't watched it. Certainly, I haven't watched it as much as Grease because I've been to all those screenings.
Oh, sure.
So I can't think offhand of any cringeworthy moments. Which I guess is a tribute to Jim Rowley and to Stephen White, where everything was tight and perfect in my eyes, and I was able to execute all that stuff. And they also let me go, ad-libbing and such. The only thing that I guess maybe, and this is being really critical, is when I'm signing the book with the quill, I make myself laugh. Yeah. The laugh could have been better. There's a breath there that's missing. I mean, again, this is really scrutinizing. That's the only time that I wish we could have done it again, because my laugh wasn't as hearty as I wanted it to be. But otherwise, no.
Do you do that with all the things you're in? Do you have moments that you? Yeah.
Yeah. Now on the stage of live theater, you get to do it over again.
Right.
But most of the work on the screen, there's always something about it that. A lot of people won't watch their work on the screen. Mm-hmm. A lot of famous people, celebrities, they don't do it, and I kind of understand that. But I think I'm too vain not to watch. I do want to see it, and there is one moment in the film in Grease that I thought was my most honest moment, and that is when we discovered that Danny has turned into a jock. She really hasn't at the carnival. And we see him in the Letterman sweater, and we circle around him, and I say, "What is Danny turned jock? Are you kidding me?" And you see this transition, which I felt was a real honest moment in the portrayal. But again, these are just little teeny things that you guys probably wouldn't even get. But we all, I'm sure. Well,
no, I understand it. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Now listen, you're in the suit.
Yeah.
So the nuance is different for you. So let me turn the question around. Are there moments that you have felt, I wish they wouldn't have taken that, or could we have done it again, or I didn't kick the bell kick as high? What is it for you?
Oh, there absolutely are some of those. Absolutely. By funny, you probably don't know this story, but the people involved.
Yeah.
We were in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm a big Minnesota fan. I just always have. I can't.
Vikings. Listen, I become a Vikings fan because of you guys.
Oh my God, I'm so proud. Yeah, I am so proud. Kyle, I'm gonna tell Kyle.
Dude,
quoted him. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So we're in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We have 16,000 people per show. I'm doing just a sing along, just Barney, and it's in the where they do their big racetrack, and it's for the state fair.
Yeah.
So I am just pumped, fired up, and they do the introduction, and Barney comes flying out. And I'm not touching the stage. I am just kicking and jumping and all that. And I go to do the famous 360 move.
Yeah.
And I whip my hips to the right, and I'm feeling so good, I decided to just go right to the left, do another one.
Yeah.
I come back, and I land on just my left leg, and the whole costume goes like that, and I pull my weight and drop myself to the ground, and you could hear 16,000 people. So I land it, and I just go on and finish.
Yeah.
So I'm in the dressing room afterwards, and you hear it. Where is he? You can hear Sloan Coleman from a mile. Where is he? And I'm thinking, oh, God, here we go.
Oh, gosh.
What were you thinking? She was standing next to one of the roadies and put her fingernails in his shoulder. What were you thinking? I said, well, I was feeling it. Yeah. The next time you're feeling it,
don't feel it.
Don't feel it. But you do stuff like that. It's you're on the stage and the moment happens. It's what I love about live. You go, and thank God I didn't hit the ground. But yeah.
Yes, but you did fall over, yeah?
No, I went almost over, and I just took my weight.
Oh, God.
Dropped it back, but I was close, and I absolutely didn't. And of course, you always act like, I got this.
You're right. It was supposed to happen that way,
but it was not supposed to happen, and I did not have it. And and I knew Sloan. I'd worked with Sloan so many years. For that point, I knew she was coming to look for me.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, those frightening moments.
No, the frightening moment was Sloan coming to find me.
But that was the most frightening.
Yeah, that was the most frightening part. Was Sloan.
Of course. That's hysterical. We all have those stories. Those actors' nightmare stories.
I cannot thank you enough for being here with me, my friend. It just can. Would you leave us with a couple songs? Can you sing a little Grease and can you do
sure.
Tinkerputt?
Grease. Let's see. Sure. Go grease lightning, you're burning up the quarter mile. Grease lightning, go grease lightning, go grease lightning, you're coasting through the heat lap trial. Grease lightning, go grease lightning, you are supreme. The chicks will scream for grease lightning. I cleaned it up for you.
Can you give me a little Tinkerputt to finish off?
My name is Professor Tinkerputt. You may think it's funny, but I like it very much. And that's about all I know. That's all I've retained. What comes after that? I say, no, I know the tune. I don't know what yet. Fill out my ears. Tinkerputt fell out my ears.
Thank you for the smiles. Thank you for the laughter.
You're welcome, my friend, and thank you back again 1,000-fold. It's been it's certainly been a delight and an honor knowing you all these years, and it's delicious, and I'm honored. And anytime, I'm just a click away. You know that.
Well, thank you so much, you rat bastard.
Back at you, rat bastard.
Thank you, Barry, and thank you all, Purple Roach fans. We'll see you next week. Keep your eyes, ears, and heart open. I love you.